All right. Welcome back to another Elevated Marketing Dad podcast. My name is Jennifer Denny
I'm Brenda Jackson. Hello, hello.
and today we are going to talk about being strategic basically, which we kind of just do naturally. But
We're strategic sleepers, if you will.
we feel like there are 6 questions that every strategic marketer should be thinking through every time that they come up with a plan or a campaign or whatever they're working on. Like they got to think about these 6 questions, because if they don't, then it's just not going to turn out well, and it's probably not going to work. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So what is number 1? Probably my favorite.
What problems are we solving as a business?
Yes, definitely the business problems. I've never believed that marketing is a standalone function. I've always believed that marketing helps solve business problems. And so when you start with this question first, it really will help you kind of define what you need to do. So, what are kind of some of those questions, sub questions underneath there that we should be thinking about when it comes to business problems with marketing?
Yeah. What current challenges are you facing that you feel like are maybe holding you back from growing? That could be a lack of leads, maybe it's low quality leads, a low retention rate, maybe high turnover, could be a number of things.
Yeah, those are questions that sometimes when people come to us, they don't even realize that they have that problem,
Hmm.
because they haven't taken a look at the data. They might give like kind of a bigger overview. Like we had someone recently come to us, and they want to scale their marketing and not scale their marketing, I'm sorry, scale the business, but they weren't really sure what the marketing problem was that was causing them not to be able to scale. And we could kind of get in there and see that, well, they're not very diversified in the types of marketing that they're doing. So they're never going to scale if they don't do that. But those are the kind of business problems that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also a competitive side to this as well, as honestly with any question that we're going to ask.
Yeah.
But what type of market pressures are you currently feeling? Are
Oh,
there new competitors? Maybe there's a competitor going after your
yeah.
name.
Yeah, we've had this recently with another client where they are in a market that is highly competitive for what they do. And
Mhm.
so we have to look at that from a marketing standpoint of what can we do differently. Because of that, there are so many different options for what they do, that that is a market pressure that if they continue to stay in that market, they're going to have that problem. So either they'll overcome that with marketing, or maybe they'll choose to not be in that marketing. We're local to Indianapolis, and I can't tell you how many people want to quote unquote target the north side of Indianapolis. And it's like, okay, but it's highly competitive up there.
Yeah.
I am a preference of the south side because I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes you got to stick with your bread and butter.
But that doesn't mean it's right for everybody. That's
Yeah.
just, what works for us.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that kind of goes into maybe the next question of who exactly are we trying to reach? Who is our target audience?
Yes, a lot of people miss this one. Really narrowing down. I think sometimes the problem is we don't want to narrow down.
Hmm.
We think that we have this like limiting belief, and we think that it's going to limit. But really, you got to have that belief of abundance,
Hmm.
and that there's plenty for everyone. And so you got to really define who that is. And sometimes that's job titles, industries, age ranges, geography. Um, that really defines who you want to target. And
Yeah.
again, not everybody knows this.
Yeah. And then there also comes with like, what's the awareness level of this audience? Are they familiar with you? Are you going to be brand new to this audience?
Yeah.
That there's a lot that goes into that once we kind of define that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think about buying cycles when this, like
yeah.
once you understand who your target audience is, you can start getting into the psychology of what is the buying cycle, meaning like what is the process that they go through in order to buy your product or service.
Mhm.
That can help guide the type marketing that you do based on that information. So if you're not solving this question strategically and thinking about like who do I want to get in front of, then there's a lot of things like your content mix, offline to online ratio, like all kinds of things that could be completely off because you didn't think about who your audience is.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's it's kind of the bulk of it. Who are we talking to?
Yeah,
And because I mean, we're going to speak to different audiences in
I
different
I saw
manners.
this recently. Somebody had, were posting about Reddit, and I know that's kind of like a big trend right now, like all about Reddit, and we
Mhm.
should get on Reddit. And I think it's very rooted in a trend,
Mhm.
like, well, Reddit's showing up in ChatGPT, and I just have to full stop and be like, okay, yeah, but like, is your audience actually there?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they're not there, then you shouldn't be spending the time and effort to go over there. You're just chasing trends and you're not chasing like who your audience is.
Yeah, and eventually it all catches up to each other, and I
Yeah.
mean, it's a lot of times the juice just really is not worth the squeeze on things of that matter.
Yep. Yep. For sure. So I think the next question is, where and how will we reach them? Which is kind of just playing off of what we just said. Like
Mhm.
once you know the audience, like that helps determine the channels you're going to market in, right?
Yes, for sure, and I think about this too from, um, an awareness level perspective, so, when we're going to these different channels, there's gonna be different awareness levels for each. Let's say social media, for example, if you're gonna run ads, you could probably reach those who are and are not aware with you. But if you're going to go with more email marketing, well, we know that these people already know who you are. And so there's different messaging that's going to be tied within these different channels. Um, but yeah.
I when this question comes up, it gets me into the type of content mix that you're gonna do. So, I know who my audience is, so the where and how we will reach them. Well, the type of content that I do, like, is it educational? Is it entertaining? Is it promotional?
Hmm.
It's directly tied to who that audience is, and so it's determining that content mix
Yeah.
um, based on that question.
Yeah. And it also determines too, like, what kind of content mix are you going to be putting out on each channel?
Hmm.
And but that definitely all ties together.
Yep. Yep, for sure. So I think the next question is what actions do we want them to take?
Mhm.
Gosh, I was listening to a podcast the other day and it just made so much sense of how people don't think about this even with their own website. Like you go and get a website and you're like, yeah, but what do you want people to do when they get to the website?
Yeah.
You don't think about that, then you're not building like the strategic vision of what the website is going to do for you. You're just thinking, I just need a website. And that's
Mhm.
like the what, the tactic is not the why.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you bring up a good point. There I can think of a couple times where we're like, "Okay, and how would you prefer the end goal to look like? What does
Yeah.
that look like to you?" And sometimes it can be tricky. I mean, there are many different ways to kind of end a desired action.
Yeah. Well, that is where sometimes people stop short of what actions. They just want that. I want leads.
Mhm.
Right. They just put the form up there, put it higher. Like they'll
Bulk
okay,
the phone
that's the
number.
primary. But then there's like secondary, there's like, what the sales process is, like
Mhm.
there's a clear reason like why to buy, to act now. Like there's all these other steps that you need to make sure that your marketing actually does,
Mhm.
or you'll never get to that primary conversion. Like that's sometimes how business owners think. Is just like, oh, well, I just need them to do that action. And
Mhm.
I get that from, that standpoint, but there are a lot of sub things that you need to work on as well.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, your website needs to speak to all awareness levels. And so when
Yeah.
you have all these different actions that we're wanting them to take, it's going to help lead them down that buying funnel and down your sales cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the last one?
Yeah. How are we going to measure success? And then, how do we adjust to that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, each different type of marketing that we might have chosen in these prior questions, different channels, different types, each one of them is going to have like different core KPIs. It's going to tell us that they are working. And
Hmm.
so number 6 can't be answered until you've answered 1 through 5.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, based on all that too, like how often should we be talking? What kind of tools are we going to use? Like, what is the optimization plan? How often should we be adjusting? And
Hmm.
that question really doesn't get answered until you do 1 through 5.
Yeah. Well, and then it goes beyond to sometimes these measures of success or these KPIs, they may change over time. We could find that maybe we're getting a lot of form fills, but the quality of those submissions is not exactly a qualified lead. And so then it kind of transitioned into, well, how many qualified leads did we get? And so it could also change over time, even when you
Yeah.
decide what your core KPIs are.
That's what I've just always thought. There's not this like clear point A to point B when it comes to marketing. Like you've got to be very strategic with where you're at, where your business is at, what your objectives are. So
Market shifts.
yeah, that's why I don't believe in packages, why we don't believe in anything automated. Like,
Mhm.
is it harder on us? Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Our hands are very dirty of all this.
We're very tired by the end of the week. But we're using our brains in order to come up with the best solution, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered this one. I mean, there's 6 strategic questions that you need to be asking when you're thinking about any of your marketing, and I think we just laid them all out for you. So, if you want to head over to our website at elevatedmarketing.solutions, you can sign up for our newsletter over there or see all of our other content. Or you can follow me over on LinkedIn. And that is Jennifer Denny, Denney, not like the restaurant. All right, take care now.